Minimalists.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Minimalist Podcast, where we discuss what it means to live a meaningful life with less. My name is Joshua Fields Milburn.
And I am Ryan Nicodemus, and together we are the Minimalists. Thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome today to episode 159. Today we're going to talk about, Black Friday, but really what we're going to talk about is the so-called most wonderful time of the year. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's the holiday.
Keep talking, in the background.
It's the holiday shopping season. It used to just be the holiday season.
Yeah.
We turned Christmas time into Christmas presents.
Well, dude.
We turned the holiday season into the holiday shopping season.
Dude, if we can find a way to make money off of it as a society, that's typically the way that we will go.
Yeah, and there's nothing inherently wrong with making money, but when
it's the primary drive, when that's the main focus, you spoil an otherwise nice time of the year where people feel warm and fuzzy, and you've got Christmas music playing and people building snowmen and sledding. Like I just remember Christmas. It was different when I was a kid, man. And I understand that I was a kid, so that's why it's one of the main reasons why Christmas was different. But it definitely wasn't. I feel like it wasn't as
commodified.
Yeah, commodified, commercialized.
But even then, I mean, it
still was.
That was the beginnings of it, really.
Yeah.
I mean, especially in the 80s, when we just started bringing in all the 80s and then the 90s. But you and I grew up in the 80s, and we started bringing in all of these really cheap goods from overseas.
Yeah.
And we, for the first time, had these giant discount stores. Whether it was, Kmart was around before we were even born, but then it was the mega stores like Walmart.
Yeah.
And we started placing emphasis on the objects.
Right.
It's the objectification of the holiday season. And what is the premier example of commodifying the holidays? It's that one day of the year, Black Friday. Now, you and I, we used to be in retail, and we managed a bunch of retail stores. And do you remember what it was like? Just Thanksgiving Day for us, even. We got the day off.
Yeah, it was miserable for me.
But why was it miserable?
Well, dude, we had to be at work at 4 o'clock in the morning.
The following day.
On Black Friday.
Yeah.
Because our stores opened at 6 or 7 or whenever they opened in the morning. But we had to be at work at 4 so we could go around to the neighboring retail stores that also had their Black Friday sales going on.
Anchor stores.
Yes. And we would go there to their lines where people were camped out and hanging out waiting for the stores to open. And we would hand out coffee and donuts and, of course, flyers directing them to our store.
With coupons.
Yes, with coupons directing them to our store after they did their initial Black Friday shopping.
It's weird.
We were totally cool with being sloppy seconds. But the reason why that sucked is because on Thanksgiving, like I specifically remember going to my grandma's house one year. We were having an awesome Thanksgiving. We're playing euchre. Like we're having, just a good family time. But then like 6 p.m. rolled around and I'm like, oh, I have to go home and go to bed now. Like
because you have to get up crazy early.
Right. Like I can't really stay here and enjoy this experience with you. This one of the 3 days off that we had a year.
Right.
It was like I couldn't even enjoy it because it was cut short because I had to get up so early for Black Friday.
It's weird because we would go to those big box stores, to Target and Best Buy and Kohl's and all of these places. Sears, that used to be a store.
Oh my God.
And we would hand out those coupons, and it's the one day of the year where people are they're so frantic. They're in a frenzy of consumerism.
Yeah.
That they'll happily accept. It's the one day where they'll just say, yeah, give me your stupid coupon, go away. They happily say, yes, give me whatever deals you have.
Yeah.
What cheap plastic things can you sell me today? And as long as I get a discount, then I want in. I feel like I'm part of, and it's weird. It's the worst kind of tribalism in a way, where we surround ourselves with people whose common goal is to buy things they don't need, and then we get sucked into it.
Well, it's not even the well, I shouldn't say it's not even, but so a piece of it is buying stuff we don't need, but another piece of it too, man, is people love the hunt. They love the deals, man. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've seen someone, they go to one Black Friday, we had a customer come into our retail store, into the cell phone store, and they were talking about how they got like 15 HDMI cables for like, $5 because of this Black Friday special mixed with, it was just ridiculous. And I'm like, what do you do with all those? Well, I don't know. I got extra cables now. Someone needs one. I can give them to them.
Wow. But
it was the thrill of the hunt. It really wasn't the HDMI cable.
Right.
It was this thrill of, I'm getting something for free, or I'm getting something at a heavily discounted rate. Therefore, I am, somehow I am jumping up with my finances because I've saved all this money.
Right. Well, and the truth is that you've spent all this money. You haven't saved money. It's
right.
It's 100% off if you refuse to buy it.
Yes.
Otherwise, you are actually parting with your money. And that's what retailers and advertisers do really well, especially this time of year. I know with our retail stores in the telecom industry that we were in at the time, between Thanksgiving and the end of the year, so those 6 weeks or so, 40% of our profits for that year that time of year was responsible for 40% of the annual profits.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how important that's why they call it Black Friday. It's the time of year where the retail stores go from red to black on their books because the frenzy commences, and then we start playing around. In fact, I remember starting in February is when we started having holiday planning meetings every single week, so we could talk about the marketing and advertising and staffing. Everything led up to those 6 weeks of the year.
It is fun. That's so true, man. It's like 10 months of the year. It was just this build up.
Yeah, we worked really hard for 10 months to try to extract as many dollars as we could from your checking account. Or if you didn't have your checking account, that was okay because you had credit cards you could put it on, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Well, I want to throw in here too, man, like because there's always exceptions to the rule. There's a couple arguments I've heard about Black Friday. One is, Black Friday, if you're making fun of Black Friday, you're really you're making fun of poor people.
Who's saying that?
I don't know. That there was a gentleman at our Washington D.C. documentary event, and he was kind of giving us a hard time for putting the Black Friday stuff in there.
Okay. So our documentary starts out with the Black Friday.
But I just want to say that, like, I don't want to undermine the fact that there might be something that somebody got and they could only afford to get it on Black Friday. But that's an exception to the rule. The rule is no matter rich or poor, it is all over. The demographics are all over the place with people who go and participate with Black Friday sales.
Oh yeah, we saw that. How many years did we manage retail stores? Every single year we had to work on Black Friday. There was no question about that.
Right.
We had to work the entire weekend, and I would often work 18 hours a day on Black Friday, starting out around 3 a.m, handing out those coupons until the very close of business later that day.
Yeah.
And so I experience everyone is looking for deals no matter where they are in the socioeconomic ladder. We had crazy rich people showing up. Most of the people who showed up, however, were just your everyday middle class people.
Yeah.
And it's because we get whipped into a frenzy by advertising. And we get what was the word we were talking about on we were doing this behind the scenes live on YouTube right before this, which was the most hilarious. It's one of my favorite things we do because they're such hit or miss things. But I was reading this thing from Jack Handy, and the word was hornswoggled, and I feel like people are being hornswoggled by advertising. And I don't even know what hornswoggled means.
I was gonna say, do you know what hornswoggled means?
No, but it feels right, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, they definitely are. And the only reason I bring that up, man, is because I'm just trying to include all perspectives in this conversation because I've heard a lot of different perspectives. But
yeah, I can't think of a perspective in which that I can fully align myself with the values of an inanimate corporate body. And that's really what's going on here. We're being tricked into showing up early, to camping out at night to save $20 or $30 or $40 on these things, when the truth is that some of these things that we're buying, we'd be better off without them.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
And so let's talk about that today. We're diving into some of these holiday shopping questions, and our first question is from Anne Marie in Buffalo.
Black Friday approaches and the ads come out. A lot of the anxiety starts to commence. I've always been the primary shopper in my house, and over the past few years, I've halted showing up for the Black Friday sales. It was no longer becoming enjoyable. The lines were way too long, and the sales weren't even that great. It was taking away time from my family. It was exhausting. Over the years, I have seen Black Fridays turn into Black Thursdays, where this consumerism became a priority over spending Thanksgiving with family and friends. It soon became a sport for the family, and instead of enjoying giblets and gravy with the grandparents, it's more about who's going to get in line to grab the new shiny bright thing at 5 p.m. and be first in line on Thanksgiving Day. Over the years, I've resorted to online shopping, but I found every year it's just getting more stressful and less enjoyable, and not to mention that the stress of going into debt looming into January is daunting. My daughter is 10 and is an only child and has all the things she could ever want and more. Santa always brings the quote-unquote the big gift. This year, there's nothing more to give. She wants things that she will soon stop playing with or lose interest 6 months from now. So our road to minimalism as a family is fairly new, and the concept is still fresh and raw with our family. My question is, how do you talk to a 10-year-old about asking for things of value that she really doesn't understand herself?
So I think here's the important thing to know, building off of what you were just talking about a moment ago, Ryan, with respect to socioeconomic class or whatever. I don't think it matters where you are in life. If the holidays or if Christmas time is stressing you out, if it's making you and your family anxious, whether you're 10 years old or 110 years old, then you might be doing the holidays wrong. And I know this from personal experience, because I did I was the ultimate consumer and also the peddling of consumerism, the peddler of consumerism with respect to living in the retail world, managing a ton of retail stores. It was my job to get you to buy stuff. I didn't care how much debt you had to go into. I didn't care what kind of car you drove, what kind of house you were in, where you worked, whether or not you had a job. I didn't care if it made you anxious or didn't make you anxious. It was my job to get that money out of you one way or another, and more the better. What was the big thing that we would track, Ryan? Upsells. Always upselling. Bolt-ons. Yeah, bolt-ons. Yeah. We always need. There were 29 different metrics for which we were responsible for, and so you wanted to, so a customer comes in to buy item A. You wanted them to buy item B, C, D, E, all the way to Z, and then I guess double A and double B. There were 29 items total.
Well, that's
right?
part of the whole sales process, man. Like, we would have secret shoppers go in there, and one of the questions we would ask the secret shopper was, what other products and services were you offered while you were in the store?
Right.
How many times were you asked?
Yes.
I mean, it's crazy, man.
And so yeah, we were, if no was not enough, we had to find a different way around the first no and the second no, and eventually till we got to that third no, or hopefully a yes. So yes, we were responsible in a way. It wasn't our intention to create anxiety, although I come to think about it, it might have been slightly part of our aim to create some sort of stress, call it excitement. It's like faux excitement.
Well, we definitely were creating stress just with the Black Friday sale. Hey, you have to be here at this time to get this deal.
Doorbuster sales.
If you're not here, then you're going to miss out on this deal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we did want to create a false sense of urgency, which amped up the stress levels, the anxiety levels, and the only way to sort of step back from that is to realize the absurdity of this. There's an essay in a book that I'm going to give Anne-Marie. This essay is called Sales Price is Fool's Price, from our book Essential. There's an essay collection with 150 different essays in it, and one of them is just called Fool's Price.
You know what's funny? Anne-Marie, she's the leader at the Buffalo.
Meetup group on minimalist.org.
Minimalist.org meetup group.
Yeah.
And literally we just sent her a copy of Essentials for the group. So Emery will be sending you a second copy of Essentials. But yeah, no, that's a great essay.
Yeah, and so I think in the book, well, there's a whole chapter on stuff, and there's another chapter on success, and we talk about one of these things about price. And for me, I avoid sale price whenever possible. Now, it doesn't mean that I say, no, keep your discount, I don't want it.
Right.
It means I will not make the sale price the deciding factor in my purchase.
Yeah, it's not going to. You're not going to let a sales price or an item on sale make you impulsively buy that item.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I think
like if you need a pair of jeans and you go to Mission Workshop and they're like, hey, we've got Black Friday 20% off, Cyber Monday, and you need the jeans.
Right.
Like you're not going to just throw away money for the sake of it.
Exactly. But if I get an email from Mission Workshop and they're like, act now, it's Cyber Monday.
And you're like, I was thinking about maybe getting a pair of jeans in the next 6 months to a year. I should just get them now.
That's the wrong deciding factor.
Absolutely.
And it's encouraging me to buy something that I otherwise wouldn't buy.
Yeah, because it's not just the pair of jeans you're going to make that decision with.
Yeah, so I'd rather pay full price than fool's price.
Yeah.
Is the ultimate lesson from that essay. But let's talk a little bit more about this here.
So what does she do for her 10-year-old? I mean, it's something that, not having kids, first off, I can give great advice on this. Just get rid of the kid. No, it's something though I do think about when Mariah and I have kids. I do want to make Christmas time special for these kids. I want to make every day special, but I understand the novelty with Christmas, and I'm not, I don't want to be all bah humbug.
Right.
So I don't know, man. What do you do with Ella? How do you not just have Christmas Day with her, but how do you help her appreciate the value of things? Well,
so she asked about values in particular. And a 10-year-old doesn't have values. Your values are reflected onto them. So as a parent, they adopt your values, whether you like it or not. Now, good and bad. Now, 10-year-olds have beliefs, right? Ella's 5, but 10-year-olds have a set of beliefs that tend to be similar to your beliefs at this point. Now, pretty soon they're going to hit puberty, and their beliefs will radically diverge from what your beliefs are.
Their beliefs are going to be so horny.
Yes. and well, they'll just be hormonal in general too, right?
Yeah.
And so, in fact, their beliefs will almost be a direct opposite of whatever yours are, but ultimately their values, the core values, will be the same. They're just going to have some different beliefs about how to get to those values. So right now it's about instilling whatever your values are. And the only way you can do that is to get really clear on what your values are first. If you don't know what your values are, it's hard to communicate those, express those to your son or daughter. Now, here's the thing I will say, is that consumerism should never be a priority during any season, whether it's the holiday season or birthdays or whatever. However, it has become paramount. It has become the priority of the holiday season. Have you got all of your Christmas shopping done? Have you checked everything off of your Christmas list? It's become a to-do list, buying gifts for people.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like very much fun.
No, and it sounds like the wrong kind of value system as well. There's nothing wrong with getting gifts. In fact, we'll make sure that we get Ella some gifts for Christmas, but you know when else I'll get her gifts? Just on a random day. Hey, it's January 17th. I got you this thing because you were really good this week and you earned it. It's also okay to have grace and understand that maybe you didn't earn a gift, but I can give you a gift just because I love you or I think this will add value to your life. But it's also good to set up a system of earning with your children. But when it comes to the holidays, yeah, your kids are going to want some stuff. But what they value is different from their values. But what they value right now, you're right. It might change 6 months from now. But on a long enough timeline, it's definitely going to change. So what if it changes 6 months from now? So what if it changes 6 years from now? I guarantee you get them a gift at age 10, they're probably not going to still like that gift at age 16. And so you're going to have to come to terms with something that you get them now is eventually going to stop adding value to your life.
You could say that about clothes. I mean, you buy a 2-year-old pair of shoes. How long does it take for them to grow out of their shoes?
Exactly. And we're going to grow out of our things. And even as adults, Ryan, you and I grow out of our things.
Absolutely.
And so we have to think of those things as temporary. The question then becomes, like, what are you comfortable with? What time frame are you comfortable with? Because, maybe 6 months from now, she's going to be tired of that toy. And if you want to donate it to someone else, great. Or if you don't want to get it, we said this on the previous episode about excess, but like missing out, it was the fear episode. Missing out is really just letting go in advance.
The joy of letting go. Jolo. Wait, no.
And there's this coffee ring on the table that is driving me crazy.
Is it driving you crazy? All right, we'll let... Do you want to take a...
No, you can keep going. I'm just going to clean it up while you
So you talk about the 6-month thing, and I'll tell you, man, the thing that always stands out to me when people ask about kids is I always think about that the line from Joshua Becker's book, Clutter Free with Kids. And it's the line that says, we don't want to tell our kids what to do. You don't want to like be a dictator, but you do want to set boundaries for your kids. So the question is, Anne-Marie, what are the appropriate boundaries for your 10-year-old? Up until this point, it sounds like the floodgate has kind of been open with Christmas and gifts. So now you have to start setting these boundaries. I'll be honest, if they're expecting, this episode's going to come out on Black Friday? Or
no, the Tuesday before
Black Friday. So right now might be the wrong time to start setting those boundaries for a 10-year-old. Meaning, if it's led up to this point and they've had this expectation of what Christmas should be, to change it a month before Christmas, I don't know. If that's just something that Anne-Marie can do, great. If not, then I totally understand that too. Because, again, like if this is coming out right before Black Friday, this kid is expecting Christmas to be a certain way. So whether you do it now or whether you do it for next Christmas, Anne-Marie, set boundaries up. What do those look like? Is it a one in, one out rule? Do you explain to your 10-year-old, hey, I'm happy to get you Christmas gifts. I'll get you whatever you want that you're going to get sick of in 6 months. However, we need to get rid of just as many things as what we're bringing into the house. I know a lot of, well, I don't know a lot, but I know a few families who they do these decluttering parties essentially as a family after Christmas, where they have, just a ton of toys. And they've got, a toy chest with toys in there. So in the process of combining the toys, they don't just, buy a bigger toy box. They actually will go through and get rid of toys that they don't play with anymore. I mean, they do a very deliberate decluttering. You could do something like that.
Well, because your kids are going to get value from some toys.
Of course.
And having the appropriate amount. Ella and I did a video on our YouTube channel about this. And the average kid has about 300 toys in the United States, but plays with just 12 daily. And so I'm not saying that your kid should have only 12 toys. Maybe some of them should. And by the way, it's different for each kid. Ella doesn't even like that many toys. And so it's easier for me to have fewer toys. Now, could that be that she reflects our values? That's probably part of it. But she also enjoys doing things as opposed to owning things.
So what kind of boundaries have you and Beck set up for Ella when it comes to presents? Have you had to set any boundaries up? Have you had to basically explain to her, hey, look, this is a line we're not crossing?
Yeah. So quite often what we do is the boundaries that we set up are past our own comfort zones. So there's an example. There's like this little stool outside the front door that that Ella likes to put like sticks and rocks and random things on. She has a little stick collection. And for me, it's stupid. Why the hell would you want to like collect sticks? I mean, is she just trying to rub it in my face that she's not a minimalist? But no, like she likes having this little, but she knows that it can't go past the literal boundaries of this little stool that it sits on.
Yeah.
We can't say, all right, well, that one's full. Let's get a second stool out here. Or
that's great.
Let's get a bigger stool. And so there's a literal physical boundary there. The other boundaries have to do with what she holds on to, meaning we constantly reevaluate the things that she is using.
So how do you explain those boundaries to her?
The best way to explain it is when she donates something, she has to understand where it's going. It's not just going to the Goodwill. Right. It's going to some other kid who is going to start playing with it because she's not playing with it anymore. And by the way, by letting go of it, now she can bring something else in that she will start playing with. Mm-hmm. And so instead of telling her what she can't have or what she can't do or what she shouldn't want, we're letting her know that by letting go, you're making room for something else.
Yeah, I love that, man. It's what a good example with the stool and the sticks and the rocks. Because yes, you, Josh, don't want her collecting sticks and rocks.
I would prefer 0 sticks or rocks.
Exactly. But setting up these boundaries and saying yes and instead of just looking at someone and saying no. So Anne-Marie, what boundaries can you set up for your kid?
Now that I think about it, I think I'm going to get rid of those stupid sticks. All right, Anne-Marie, enjoy your copy of Essential. It's an essay collection with 150 essays in it. It sounds like Ryan already sent you the autograph book, but if you want the audiobook as well, if you like our podcast, you'll like the audiobook version of Essential, essays by the Minimalists. Sean, if you could reach out to her and maybe see if she wants the audiobook version of that.
I feel like we're skipping over something important here, man.
Oh, yeah. Here's one thing I would recommend.
Yeah.
A debt-free Christmas.
Yeah, that's a good one.
How about that? And not just for you, but teaching your kid about debt and money. We did this video with Rachel Cruz on our YouTube channel. We'll put a link to this in the show notes, Sean, about teaching your kids to put their money in the 3 buckets. So if they get $10 from their allowance, right? Mm-hmm. Having a portion of it goes to giving, mm-hmm. a portion of it goes to saving, mm-hmm. and a portion of it goes to spending. Mm-hmm. The spending thing can be on toys. The giving thing could be gifts for someone else or to charity. And the saving could be saving for something in their future. So you're not going to teach your 10-year-old about a Roth IRA account just yet.
Right.
But you can teach them about the concept of saving for the future.
What I was thinking is teaching your kid about having experiences over things. So Anne-Marie could do this with her child, whether it's a family vacation, or maybe it's like, hey, as a Christmas gift, you get to stay up a little later. Or maybe you give them an extra bite of ice cream. I don't know. I'm just like throwing some different ideas out there. But I think there are ways you can certainly still give gifts to your 10-year-old. Give them things that they're really going to enjoy, things that's going to be meaningful to them, without actually giving them something that's cheaply made out of plastic.
Yeah, and I think that you can also wrap those up as well. With Ella, we'll often wrap up experiences. So if we're going to take her to Disneyland, for example, you can put that in a box, in an envelope, or several series of boxes, and she's opening them all up.
Minimalist.
And then with that wrapping paper everywhere, there's like the excitement. And when we talked to Peter Rollins about the difference between pleasure and enjoyment, and part of the experience of the holidays, of enjoying the experiences of the holidays, is the enjoyment, the anticipation, the gift under the tree. One thing that we've done with Ella several times in the past is go Christmas tree hunting. We were living in Montana, and we go out, we find the right Christmas tree. For $5, you get this permit that you can cut down. Basically, the trees are infinite in Montana. It's a massive, massive state. You go out and you spend,
even after all those forest fires, there's still plenty of trees to cut down for Christmas.
Well, that's the thing. Like, she would go and like want to pick a burnt down tree. And, like, how about this one? Or did she see this 100-foot tree that's been there for 100 years? Can we get this one? I'm like, Ella, do you think that one will fit in our living room? No, probably not. And then she'd go up to like the little Charlie Brown tree, and like, it's a twig that's coming out of the ground. How about we cut down this one? And eventually, and that's part of the experience. So it's not just going to buy a Christmas tree. It's the enjoyment of the entire experience.
Going out in the woods, looking at trees, laughing at her stupid suggestions for trees, tweeting about her stupid suggestions for trees.
You can follow her on Twitter, by the way. She's at Ella Sandwich is her Twitter handle. She says the craziest things, and it's our way that we catalog everything that she says. Instead of having a scrapbook for Ella, we have a Twitter account, and thousands of you follow her musings and maunderings on Twitter. All right, our next question today is from Ryan in Dallas.
So this is me and my wife's first holiday season as minimalists, and we're not really struggling with receiving gifts because both of our family are willing to try to cut down on what they give us, but we've been struggling with what to get others just because we want to, give people things that will add value to their lives. But with this season, it's so hard to think and figure out what to do. So I just wanted to hear y'all's thoughts on, how do y'all even give gifts? Or if you do, how do you know exactly what to get them? Is it best to do like a gift card? It's just kind of hard to figure out from my side of how to give the best gift that I can give without going overboard or doing too much or too little.
All right, man. Ryan wants us to do the thinking for him. We need to pick out gifts for his friends and family.
Well, the first thing is, have you considered minimalism live a meaningful life? It makes a great stocking stuffer.
And all your minimalism questions will be answered.
Let me tell you that if you give out our book, not only will people be thankful, but they'll live a more meaningful life. And
Could you imagine if that? if all Ryan gave out was copies of minimalism for Christmas?
Well, here's
and it
the
was
thing.
the only gift he handed out.
The good
Merry
news-
fucking Christmas. Sorry, bleep that F word out, Sean. Sorry.
And if they read this book, Ryan, and they'll obviously live a more meaningful life. But the nice thing about getting this as a gift,
Yes.
you don't even have to read it. Just by having it in your stocking, you will begin to live a more meaningful life.
It does the work for you.
Now, let me tell you, on Cyber Monday,
Oh my god.
the price of this book on Cyber
God.
Monday
Oh my god.
is the exact same price it is all 365 days of the year. Because we don't buy into that.
In fact, we're charging double for it on Cyber Monday.
You can pay us more if you want.
That's right.
Here's the thing. Of course, if you want to buy a book, I don't always recommend books as gifts because you're actually committing. You're asking someone to commit their time to something.
Yeah.
Books can make decent gifts. Not necessarily our books, but just books in general. If someone wants a book,
Sure. I mean, books an experience.
it definitely can be an experience. So,
And that's really where Ryan needs to look, right? Gifting experiences.
Yeah, well, let's talk about what kind of experiences to gift. I mean, for me, when I gift an experience, I do a few things. One is concert tickets or tickets to some sort of event. Mm-hmm. Now, if it's someone who has kids, you can also gift a babysitter for an evening.
Ooh.
That is really helpful for folks with kids.
That's a great idea.
And especially if you're gifting them an experience.
Are you giving me gift ideas for
Yes,
you and Bex this
I am.
Christmas?
Yes. If you know anyone who's 37 years old and has a 5-year-old kid, you want to get them, a babysitter and a night out, maybe a nice dinner. But seriously, you can, if you're going to give them an evening out, quite often including a babysitter in that is really helpful. Now, obviously, it should be a babysitter that they know. You just don't want a random person showing up to their house.
Found this guy on Craigslist.
Yes.
He charges half of what your babysitter charges.
I don't mean to be sexist, but I don't let any guys babysit Ella.
Man.
Yeah, and so here's the thing. I think that if you're gifting experiences, it has to be something that is intentional, something they will like. So do they like going to the movies? Do they like going to a play? Do they like going to the theater? It's really up to you to determine what is the best gift for them. And in order to do that, you have to know what they enjoy, what experiences they like. It's sort of the opposite of what he asked about, gift cards. Gift cards are usually pretty crappy gifts because I'm at the end of my shopping list. I've got 6 more people to shop for. I'm here at the checkout line already. Let's see. I'll grab one TGI Fridays and one Applebee's, and here's one for Best Buy, and here's an iTunes card.
It's funny because I love gift cards. Like, I love getting them as gifts, but none of the gift cards you just mentioned.
Right. And the reason you like getting gift cards is if it's for something you'll use.
Well, it's more about like it's for something I use, but people, they want to show their appreciation. So like when we would go to Zootown Brew, and like there's just like a random, hey, you're the minimalist guy. Someone called in and bought you a gift card. They did this for me. I think it was for my birthday, maybe, or maybe it was just a thank you. But regardless, I thought that was awesome, man. It's like they got an opportunity to show their appreciation. They got to get me a gift, and I totally used up every single dollar of that gift card. I remember one particular Christmas, I needed a new refrigerator. So I actually did ask for, it wasn't Best Buy, but it was Home Depot. I was like, dude, I need a new refrigerator. Give me as many gift cards as you can.
To a particular
place. Yeah,
right. And
absolutely.
so that's getting someone something they asked for. Most people aren't asking for gift cards. And
Right,
so
right,
keep
right.
that in mind. Gift cards are often the opposite of intentional gift giving.
Yeah, if they're, especially if it's an afterthought. I mean, for Mariah and I, it's really about gifting something that, yes, like to show our appreciation towards someone, but something that they're going to enjoy. The majority of people that Mariah and I know, they love coffee. And guess what? We own a coffee shop.
Right.
How convenient is that?
Yeah,
So I
gifting
literally,
consumables.
I literally will send, I'll get like a case of coffee, like 24 bags of coffee, and we will just hand out coffee, and I'll order some chocolate, and we'll give out coffee and chocolate for Christmas. That's what we did last year. It was very well received, and I got, thank you text messages, a month, 2 months after the gifts, because I, gave them a couple bags of coffee that'll last a little bit for some people. And I get a text like 2 months later, like, hey man, I just want to let you know I'm still really enjoying this coffee you gave me. Thank you so much. And it's not that hard. It's really not that hard to, if you want to gift someone something, you just have to think about what their preferences are. What can you give them that's going to support their preferences?
Yeah. I think that quite often we do the opposite of that, though, right?
Yeah.
We just say, I have to get something. I have to check this off my list.
I know Josh doesn't wear ties, but I'm going to get him a tie clip. Maybe he'll start wearing ties.
All right, or, Josh doesn't wear ties, but he likes the color blue, so I'm going to give him a blue tie. It's close enough to his preferences.
Right. And that is like, what an unintentional gift.
And that's what we're often doing. We're trying to approximate someone's preferences as opposed to just figuring out what they want and what's going to add value to their lives. Because we're often told that gift giving is a love language. Gift giving is not a love language. What is a love language is adding value to someone's life. And we try to do that through the giving of gifts. Some of those gifts might be physical gifts. Some of them might be consumables like coffee or chocolate. Those are great gifts. Other gifts are going to be experiences. Sometimes your time is the best gift because presence is often the best present.
Amen.
And so when we're going through our gift giving list, there's two other things that we need to think about. And the big thing, whenever someone's trying to give me a gift now, I ask for them to donate that money to the charity of my choice.
That's a great ask.
Right now, we're trying to build this grocery store in West Dayton. All of West Dayton doesn't have a single grocery store, and we're trying to raise $100,000 to help them finish building this grocery store. 40% of the population who lives in Dayton does not have access to groceries.
Hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
In Dayton, Ohio, which is not a third world area. I mean,
it's the 62nd largest city in the country.
It's crazy.
And there is not a single grocery store on the west side. We're trying to change that. So Ryan and I are personally donating $25,000 of our own money, but we could use your help as well. So if you want to help out with that, you can donate directly. Just go to theminimalists.com
or you can
/Dayton.
Yes, or you can ask your friends and family for a donation towards that as your Christmas gift.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. If you don't want to donate to that, there are other good charities as well. If you go to givewell.org, you can always have people donate in your name to the most effective charities in the world, places like the Against Malaria Foundation and others. Here's the other one, though, especially for kids. You know what kids like? Money. When I was a kid, that was always the best Christmas gift.
My aunt would send me a card with like $4 in it. I was so excited.
I remember once.
Oh my God.
I had a relative who I barely ever saw, my uncle, but he would give $50 quite often.
Oh, wow.
It was unbelievable. He was my favorite relative.
That's great.
As a kid, because you realize the purchasing power of that thing, because it's so hard for adults to know what a kid really wants, because those wants, as we talked about with Anne-Marie, those wants change so considerably over a 6-month span. But that $50 translated into me getting the things that I wanted, because we were poor, man. We didn't have anything. any money. And so my mom would often get us a good Christmas gift. The other things we would do, my brother Jerome and I, we would always do funny Christmas gifts for Mom. I don't know if you remember any of this, but
kind of, sort of.
There was this one year where like we wrapped up a case of water, like bottled water, and it was like this massive. It was like you get from like Walmart or Sam's Club or something, and it was this big, heavy. And she thought she's getting this great gift, and she opens it up, and it's just a ton of bottled water.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. So
oh wow,
changing expectations was something we were doing even as kids. But money is something that's good, and not just for kids, but for people you don't know what to get them. And sometimes it's the most helpful thing that we can get someone. I know there are a few people who work in the apartment building that I'm in that I know I'm going to hand them a card for Christmas, and it's just going to have $20 in it, and they'll be a lot more thankful for that than if. Oh, same here with the parking attendant guys who were great to us.
Yeah.
You better believe they're going to get an envelope from the Minimalists at Christmas time.
Yeah.
It's going to be way better than if I got them a tie clip, for sure. So donate something in someone's name to charity. In fact, if I can't think of something, if I can't think of a gift for someone, the first thing I go to is I'm going to donate to charity in their name. Because what are they going to say when they open up that, they get that envelope with the charitable donation? Hey, look, I've made $100 charitable contribution to the Gym City Market, this co-op in Dayton, Ohio, in your name. You're helping us build this beautiful grocery store, give people access to food. What are they going to say to you? This is crap. I wanted a necktie. I really wanted a shirt.
Yeah. How dare you?
How dare you?
Where's my
donate
tie
to
clip
charity?
that I'm never going to wear?
So yeah, I think that's often that is my go-to these days. And in fact, I'm trying to think, other than Ella, that's what I do for everyone at this point.
Yeah,
is I donate to charity. And so I think that's a good recommendation. You start there, and if there's a specific need, then, but isn't that so much better? Wouldn't you rather get that? Look, I donated $100 to the Against Malaria Foundation. It's so much better than a $100 gift card to TGI Fridays.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, man. And you know, I have bought. I have bought.
That's not a word.
I've bought within the last few years physical items for people. So, you know, it's not like I'm not personally against buying physical gifts. I think the problem is when you can't think of a physical gift to give someone. Like, that's when you need to, okay, I'm going to back away from this idea of going to the mall and being inspired and buying something physical to give this person. Like, you've got to start thinking about the things that we just mentioned.
Absolutely. And so I would start there unless there is a physical item that makes sense for that person. Right. And especially for kids, they often know what they want. They will be the first to tell you. They'll make their shopping list for fake Santa. Ella knows that Santa is fake. She's lost her 2 front teeth now. And she, just the other night, the second one fell out in the bathtub, and she panicked because she thought it was going to go down the drain, and she's like, I wanted to put it on my pillow for the tooth fairy. I know Mom's really the tooth fairy.
Is that what she said?
Yeah,
that's great. That's funny.
You know, because we don't tell her lies about imaginary beings.
Isn't that, it's so funny, like how we
breaking into our house at night.
We teach our kids that lying is bad, but then we lie to them about Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy, and then we're like, well, it's okay to lie about some things.
Right.
Yeah. That's a whole other conversation.
But no, it's a conversation that's worth having very briefly. But we do play pretend with her, just like I'll pretend to be a monster or a dragon with her. She knows I'm not an actual dragon, and we'll do the same for Santa, and we'll explain to her that Santa isn't real, but it's really fun to pretend that
fun
he's
to
real.
believe.
Yeah.
All
right, Ryan, I'm going to send you a copy. Not you, Ryan, but Ryan from Dallas.
I already got whatever copy of our book you're going to send me. I've already got it.
This one makes a great stocking stuffer as well. Everything That Remains. It's my favorite thing that we've ever written. It's a story about, well, there's a story in here called The Worst Christmas Ever.
Oh, yeah.
And I printed it out, but I'm not going to read it to you. But there's the story of little Andy. It's based on a true story. We just changed the name here.
Changed the name. Changed the circumstance in the toy.
Yeah, but the story in there is a real story, and it's called The Worst Christmas Ever, but it's about getting everything you want as a kid and then realizing it's actually getting more than you asked for as a kid.
Yeah.
But sometimes that more than what you asked for is not what you wanted.
Right.
And so there's a story in Everything That Remains. It's a memoir about the 5-year journey from us being these suit and tie corporate guys to becoming the minimalists.
Mm-hmm.
And so Ryan from Dallas will send you a audiobook version of that, or if you want the book for a stocking stuffer.
Or you put the book on a iPad and then put that in the stocking.
I like it. It's the most expensive stocking stuffer ever. All right. We'd love to hear what you have to say. So if you have a comment or a tip about holiday shopping, including advice for any of our callers today, leave us a voicemail, 406-219-7839. You can also email a voice memo to podcast@theminimalists.com. We'll air our favorite comments and tips on a future episode. And stay tuned to the end of this episode for this week's listener comments and tips. Ryan, what time is it?
It's time for our lightning round.
Calm down.
Where we answer questions from social media.
We're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at The Minimalist. During the lightning round, this is where Ryan and I each do our best to answer every question with just a short, shareable, less than 140-character response. We also put the text to these minimal maxims in the show notes so you can copy and share our pithy answers on social media if you'd like. And now you can find all of our quotes in one place thanks to our good friend, Jessica Lynn Williams. They're all over at minimalmaxims.com.
God love you, Jess. Our first lightning round question is from Tracy. What's the best way to encourage family members whose love language is gift giving to give our kids experiences such as gymnastics instead of more stuff? What are you choking on over there, buddy?
I'm choking on the love language gift giving.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with you. I don't like mocking people, but
No. I'm mocking the gift giving.
Yeah.
Well, let me give you my pithy answer, and then we'll talk about experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you know this is an oldie but a goodie, so I pulled this one out of the archives. If gift giving is a love language, then Pig Latin is a romance language. So all I'm really saying there is adding value is the real love language. So the best question to really ask yourself, I'm gonna answer your question with my own question, and that question is, how can you help your family add value to your kids' lives?
Yeah.
Because maybe they don't understand how they can add value, and so they're going to do what they assume to be correct, and that's gifting some sort of gift because they want to add value. But if they realize the better way to add value is X, then you have to show them what X is.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right. My pithy answer is this. You can't force loved ones to support you. All you can do is ask. And Tracy, it's too late to start asking for this Christmas.
But wait, give yourself a 2-month break.
Yep. And then,
February-ish.
Yeah. Then you start talking about...
Have your holiday planning meeting in February, just like we did.
Genius!
But instead of trying to convince people to buy stuff, it's about convincing your family to not buy stuff. Mm-hmm. It's really about planting that seed, February. Because you don't want to do it in January. People are still, returning all their Christmas gifts they didn't want because they got way too many gifts.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, dude. Christmas is such a... I feel like there's so many different just feelings you have to, dance around with Christmas. Whether it's, giving someone who expects something, getting something from someone who expects you to enjoy this something that they're giving you, the expectation of holding on to the gifts. I mean, there are all these just expectations. I feel like we have to dance around.
We have to manage them better.
Yeah, during Christmas, and it's crazy to think that there's someone in Tracy's life who they want to add value. So they do this by getting physical items, which actually takes away from their life.
It gets in the way.
It does the exact opposite than add value. So maybe that's the conversation that Tracy has. It's, hey, I know that you really want to get our family something. I know you want to get our kids something, and that, you gifting a physical item, this is the way that you want to show your appreciation. Well, if you want to gift us something, just gift us your time. Or, make us a dinner. It doesn't have to be on Christmas, but we'll come over for dinner one day. Or Or maybe we'll go out to a movie. I love going to matinees on Christmas. Like that is, I don't know why, but my grandma.
It's always packed there too.
I know, dude. My grandma, like that was kind of something she's always done growing up. And like now I've got that like, it's cool to go see a movie on Christmas, but like that nostalgic feeling of like, oh, this is what we used to do when I was a kid.
Right.
But
it becomes this sort of tradition, family tradition in a way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's another cool thing you can do right now is traditions are birthed out of today's actions. Ooh, you can tweet that one, Sean.
Boom.
And why not start a new tradition? It doesn't have to be a former tradition that someone else set up for you. You know what? You can set up traditions for yourself. Maybe you do what REI does on Black Friday. You know about the Opt Outside campaign.
Yeah.
In fact, let me read about this. We got this essay on our website called Let's Talk About Black Friday, and it talks a little bit about that. Here we are in the midst of what is supposedly the most joyous time of year. The holiday shopping season. And yet, well, actually, it says the holiday season. And yet, for most of us, it's the most stressful time of year. At some point, Santa Claus turned corporate, and the holiday season turned into the holiday shopping season. Shopping. This one word, although birthed from great intentions, has fundamentally changed our outlook from blissful to grim, from jolly to anxious, from celebrating Christmas to surviving the holidays. It's upsetting. And with consumption's vicious inertia, it seems there's no way for us to exit the speeding train of consumerism. This Friday is the busiest shopping day of the year. Black Friday. There's a little parenthesis here. Boxing Day is the overseas equivalent. It happens the day after Christmas overseas. Yeah. Retailers prepare months in advance for this day, preparation that's meant to stimulate our insatiable desire to consume. Doorbuster sales, new products, giant newspaper ads, TV, radio, billboards, sale, early bird specials, one day only. Get the best deal. Act now while supplies last. See store for details. But as shiny as its facade may be, the pernicious aspects of Black Friday are not few. The pandemonium that takes place on this day is perhaps a broader metaphor for our culture as a whole, our consumer culture. On this day, we consume gluttonously without regard for the harm we're inflicting on ourselves. On this day, greed becomes ravenous. On this day, we live without real meaning, buying gifts to fill a void we can't fill with material possessions. Black Friday is the day we trample people for things we don't need, the day after being thankful for what we have. Sadly, we participate in this insanity in the name of a holiday, as if buying gifts was an ideal way to celebrate Christmas. But thankfully, we have options. Instead of embracing Black Friday, you can refuse to buy material items for people to display your love. Rather, you can showcase your love, caring, and affection through daily actions, every day, not just holidays. If you want to give gifts, why not gift an experience, a nice meal, tickets to a concert, a sunset on a beach? After all, the best, most loving gift you can give someone is your time and undivided attention. Or, if that doesn't work, maybe you can buy everyone on your Christmas list a giant trash can so they can throw away all the presents they received but didn't ask for. I think the opt outside is actually the last line of this essay is about opting outside. What REI does, they close their stores on Black Friday and turn their website off and say, hey, it's time for us to opt outside. Go do something outdoors, because the consumption will still be here the day after the big shopping day.
What a good example, man. Because like just coming from that retail world and loathing Black Friday, just loathing it as a consumer. I've never really experienced it, honestly. But REI to give Black Friday off to their family or to their employees so they could spend time with their family and their friends. Like that's, good on them. That's awesome. Our next question is from Middle Age Upgrade. I work in marketing. What are the ethical implications of a minimalist trying to convince people to buy things they almost certainly don't need and enticing them with Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales?
Yeah, I feel like we've already talked about this. I'll just give you my short answer here. Discontent is birthed at the place where our values don't align with our actions.
Yeah, very similar to mine. So the short answer is money over values is a failed equation.
Isn't and that seems that's like what he middle-aged upgrade here is trying to do here is justify making money
over their values.
Right.
I mean I guess the less pithy answer would be there isn't a pithy answer in the world that's going to make us feel better when we put money above our values and beliefs.
Yeah, and isn't it strange? Like, it's okay to put money into the equation.
Of course.
You don't want to put it above the values. You can even put it with the values. You can say, look, my values are important to me. But you know what else is important to me? Feeding my family.
Right.
Putting a roof over their head. Putting clothes on their back. Sending them to school.
Yeah.
Taking care of the people I care about. Living a life that has at least the base level of needs that are covered. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to marry the two. I'm going to have to marry my values with the earning of an income. And sometimes, you know what that means, Ryan? That means earning less money.
Yeah.
You know what? We earn way less money on this podcast because we don't put advertisements on it. Mm-hmm. You and I would make more money off of this podcast than we've ever made in our lives doing anything else if we simply would pepper it with advertisements. Yeah. We could do pre-roll and mid-roll and in-roll, and we could do sponsor. This segment, the Right Here, Right Now segment is sponsored by Tide. Mm-hmm. And we could do that, and you and I could literally make $1 million a year off of advertisements.
Yeah, easy.
With the number of listeners that we have. Yeah. The reason we don't do that isn't because we hate money. No. Money, I would love, if someone wanted to give me $1 million, I will take your $1 million. Thank you.
Of course.
If, however, you say, but I just need you to compromise these values.
I'm going to give you $1 million, but you have to start putting advertisements into your podcast.
Yeah. Then I'm going to say no, unless you can find a great way that I'm not compromising my values.
Dude, if let's say we took this year and sold out and just, made as much money as possible, I would just be the king of who gives a shit. Mm-hmm. It's like, maybe we could sell out and have $1 million in the bank or $2 million in the bank, whatever it may be. But like, man, if you're sitting on...
But then what?
Yeah, if you're sitting on a pile of $2 million... but you have forsook your values, you forsook your beliefs, you've forsaken the people around you, and you got nothing but money. I mean, that's if all you have is money, you're the loneliest person in the world.
Well, that was the video we watched. What was that? Was that the Excess podcast? Yeah, it was the Excess podcast, last episode.
Yeah,
or 2 episodes ago. We talked about, or we played the video where he's like, if all you have is money, then you're the poorest person in the world.
Yeah.
And so right now, what we're talking about is figure out what your values are. And it sounds to me like this gentleman here, middle-age upgrade, is struggling because what he's doing for money doesn't align with the person that he wants to be. And that's when we start experiencing that discontent.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, P.S. Ryan, we have one more question here. And this question is from Katie. Katie says, how can we have a clutter-free Christmas with kids? I want them to have fond memories of Christmas, but without all the crap. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about avoiding buying them crap. We're going to talk about some of the things you can do for your kids specifically. And if you'd like to hear our answer to that question, you can listen to this week's Postscript episode over at the Minimalist private podcast feed, available exclusively to our Patreon supporters. So if you want to support this show and keep it 100% advertisement free, then head on over to theminimalists.com/support. In addition to our weekly Postscript episodes, the Minimalist private podcast feed includes our Ask the Minimalist Anything episodes. We're recording one of those today, actually. You can ask us anything. Unreleased recordings of our live events and the entire back catalog of past private episodes. Once you become a supporter, you'll receive a personal link to our private podcast feed so that it plays in the normal podcast player that you're using to listen to this podcast right now. You can find all the details and all the good stuff over at theminimalists.com/support. And here is a snippet from this week's private Postscript episode. When kids expect the world, what's that Damien Rice line? You asked for the mountains and I gave you the sea. And like that's sort of the problem, right? Like kids often want the mountains, and we go out of our way to give them something equally magnificent, but they wanted something that was magnificent but different. And so sometimes we have to shape their expectations, right?
Yeah.
And those expectations don't come from, well, I'm just going to buy you a large amount of crap because I can give you the mountain, the mountain of junk. And you're going to get excited for a moment. But an hour later, 2 hours after Christmas morning is over, there's a bunch of wrapping paper strewn throughout the living room, a bunch of unplayed with new toys. And there's one or two things that might be exciting to them. Those are the things you should focus on and let go of the rest. Okay, now it's time for our added value portion of the show. This is where we each talk about something that has added value to our lives recently. So, Ryan, you and I were at a concert a couple weeks ago. We went to Gregory Alan Isakov.
Yes. And who opened up for them? The Something Reads.
I don't remember who opened up.
The girl band.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you keep talking. Name. I'll think of it in a second.
Yeah.
It was a great opener.
I never knew their name. So
yeah. Okay.
They were a solid opener for sure. But I've seen him twice this year. I saw him once in Missoula. I saw him once here in LA. I've probably seen him 4 times total. And he always puts on the most amazing show. And so we had this gal, she came up to us at the beginning of the concert, and she was like, "Hey, you're the Minimalist. I was just listening to your podcast. You should definitely recommend going to see Gregory Alan Isakov on your podcast." I'm like, you know what? You're right. We should. And plus, he has a new album. So I'm going to if you can't see him in person, if he's not coming to where you are, although he tours all over the place, but if he's not coming to where you are, if he's already been there, then you can check out his new album. It's called Evening Machines. And we're going to play, at the end of this episode, we'll play one of my favorite tracks from that album. It's called Chemicals. We'll play that at the end. We'll play them out with that.
Yeah, that's a great album. I think they're the Wandering Reeds. That's who opened up for them. Anyway, great band. That's also a great band. Man, I've been using the Peloton. So the apartment building that Mariah and I live in, they have 2 Peloton bikes in the apartment gym there. Mm-hmm. So basically, Peloton is your own private like spinning class.
Yeah.
So they're super expensive. So I'm not recommending that people go out and buy a Peloton, because if they didn't have them in our gym, I'm not sure Mariah and I we definitely wouldn't have 2 of them. So, but what I will recommend is,
I don't even know where you'd put 2 of them in that tiny apartment. Like, get rid of your bed.
Yeah, I don't even know, man. But what I will recommend is a spinning class. Like, I always thought spinning classes were kind of cheesy, kind of hokey.
Well, they are a little bit. Like I've realized that like it's the one place where you have permission to be
cheesy,
right? To be platitudinal. Like if you really want to have a career as a karaoke singer, then become a Soul Cycle instructor,
right?
Because or the Peloton instructor, or whatever. They're always singing along to all the songs, and but like you give them, like they have license to be cheesy and have these aspirational / inspirational sayings. I do it at least twice a week. I have a bike in our house now, but I realized I was spending so much money on Soul Cycle, and plus it's way less convenient, like going to the class repeatedly. But it's a big purchase, so you have to really think it through. I talked about in a previous episode, really considering that purchase. We went several months considering it and budgeting for it appropriately, because what I realized,
expensive, man.
Yeah, but it's more expensive to not live a healthy lifestyle, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I'm not even recommending an actual Peloton. I think though, once you start taking spin classes, then you start to think like, oh, how can I do these at home? But like what I'm getting at is a spinning class for me is like the perfect cardio workout. Because what happens in LA when I go to these circuit training classes, when Mariah and I go with like Dr. Ryan Green, our physician, and like he's just running circle. Like I feel like I'm practicing to take the class. Like one day I'll actually be able to take the full class and like keep up. But until then, I just like get a bunch of practices in.
It'd be like if I went to go like like play with the Utah Jazz right now.
Right.
Like I'm okay at basketball, but can you imagine like if I went to go just like even like go to practice with them, I would look stupid.
Yeah, it's like me surfing. I don't really surf as much as I practice surfing.
I practice falling off.
I practice falling off the surfboard. But the thing is like the spinning class. What I love about it is I don't feel like I am at the bottom of the pack. So I feel like I can be in the middle of the pack, but also the pacing of it is like, it's incredible, man. Like I leave feeling energized. It's literally the only exercise that I do where afterwards I'm like, oh, I want to go lift some weights. Like that. The first spinning class I ever took was at Soul Cycle with you and Bex and Nate and Rochelle and me and Mariah and Dr. Ryan Green. And after that class, Mariah and I went and did leg day. Because like we were so energized from that cardio. But like anyone out there who's looking for just like a good cardio workout and looking for something a little bit different, I would highly recommend a spinning class. It's just very invigorating. I was going to say it's fun, but it's not fun as much as it is invigorating.
Well, and I think it's fun for a lot of people. I think a lot of people really, really enjoy it. But here's the other thing is I've noticed there's all different skill levels in the class when you go. There are people who are less skilled than me, which is pretty amazing. Somehow, I can.
And there are people more skilled than me, which is pretty amazing.
I can barely ride a bike. I almost fell off the Peloton the other day.
You can't even ride a stationary bike. What is your problem? Good grief, man.
But no, what I realize is like it is you can go at your own pace even amongst a class of 30 or 40 people. And you're not required because it's a darker room and you're not forced to like burn yourself out, but you will get into that discomfort zone where it's where you want to be uncomfortable because that's the place from which you're going to grow.
And that's what it is that I love about the class, man, is it pushes you just beyond your comfort zone, and you get to decide where that is, and everyone has a different line of where their comfort zone is. But that hit the nail on the head, man, with the spinning class. Is it gets you to your comfort zone and just a little bit past.
Yeah.
But that is what is it so energizing about it.
And I found that I'm competing with myself more than anything. I beat my personal record yesterday, which is really hard for me to do. Like
nice.
There are a few days where I have like these personal, I'm like, how did I do that? And there are other days where I'm so far behind it, but at least I got in the half hour anyway.
Right.
And that's what you feel good about.
Absolutely.
Regardless of like, okay, I didn't beat my personal record today, but I spent my 30 minutes on the bike.
That's so funny because when you're pedaling, it always shows you your personal best.
Yeah.
And I look at that personal best and I'm like, I have no idea how the hell I hit that.
Right.
Because I have not got there in at least the last 2 or 3 weeks. But like looking at that number, I'm like, how did I even get there?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the key is you have to start out of the gate hot.
Yeah.
In order to keep up with your personal record.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Right Here, Right Now, so we talk about what's going on in the lives of the minimalists. So we got Ryan, here's what we have for them this special holiday weekend. We have Thursday. We have Friday.
Oh my God.
We have Saturday. We have Sunday. Let's talk about Thursday. This Thursday is Thanksgiving.
Yes.
I tweeted something today, Ryan. I said I am thankful for everything that I don't have. And I meant that sort of as a double entendre. Like, I'm thankful I don't have a bunch of excess stuff in my life that I got rid of. So I'm thankful I don't have that stuff anymore. But also, when we talked about what real love is, when we were talking with Pete Rollins, real love is giving what you don't have to someone who doesn't want it. I'm glad, I don't have major sickness. I'm glad that I don't have...
I was just thinking about me giving you a tie clip.
I'm glad I don't have a tie clip.
Here, this is love, damn it.
I'm glad I don't have toxic relationships in my life. I'm so thankful that not for just the things that I have, expressing gratitude for that, but I think it's also important to have gratitude for the things we don't want in our lives and keeping those things at bay.
It's so funny, man. When I get down, like, I will remind myself of like, hey, man, like, you've got the ability to like run up this mountain right now if you want to, or you got the, it's like appreciating what you don't have. I know exactly what you're saying. Like, hey, I've got my health. I don't have a sickness lingering over me right now. Like, I can totally eat what I want.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so important to recognize those things.
Yeah, I'm thankful I don't have the corporate career of yesteryear, and
Yeah.
I decided to walk away from that. I'm thankful for a lot of things. Now, Ryan, you and I did an entire video. Every Wednesday, we do a living room conversation. We did a special Thanksgiving conversation called "What are the Minimalists Thankful for this Thanksgiving?" So you can check that out on our YouTube channel. We'll also put a link to it in the show notes. And then this Friday is Black Friday. And, we're encouraging you all. We're obviously, as we've mentioned, we've partnered up with the Gym City Market, and you can buy a brick on Black Friday. So there is a essay on our website right now, theminimalists.com/brick. Now, a brick costs about $1 to buy, right? So for every $1 you donate to this, it doesn't go to us. It goes straight to the Gym City Market nonprofit organization. For every $1 you donate, you're essentially buying a brick to build this new building, this new grocery store on the west side of Dayton. So if you want to contribute, and by the way, you can buy a bunch of other bricks. They make great stocking stuffers.
You must act now, though.
Well, I mean, quite literally.
Buy these bricks before they're all bought out.
You do need to act by the end of the year. That's when we need to try to get this $100,000 to them by the end of this year.
Yeah.
And so if you want to help out, you could buy bricks for literally, you could just donate $1 for everyone on your Christmas list, then print out the $1 that you donated for them, put it in an envelope, stick it in their stocking, or hand it to them and say, look, I bought a brick for you and on your behalf for this charity. We're going to provide food for families in the second hungriest city in the country, Dayton, Ohio. So if you're interested in doing that, please help out. theminimalists.com/brick. You can buy a brick for Black Friday. And then, of course, this Saturday is Screenless Saturday. You can find out more about that over at theminimalists.com/screenless. We've been doing this for over a month now, close to 2 months at this point, and we're enjoying the process of that. We're learning a whole lot. I think we'll end up probably doing a whole episode about Screenless Saturdays at some point. Once we've had maybe a quarter of Screenless Saturdays under our belt, we could talk a lot about the experiences and how we're going to leverage that knowledge going forward.
Yeah, my favorite part about Screenless Saturdays is just the being able to let go of any obligations. It's like Mariah and I walked to Squirrel from our place. It's like an hour and 20-minute walk.
My favorite restaurant in LA.
It took us like probably 2 hours to walk back because we stopped for coffee and we stopped to go get him Tiger, which is on the way, and a couple other places. But it's like there's I'm not beholden to anything on Saturdays. It's like the most important people in my life, if they need to get a hold of me on Saturday, they know that I'm the wrong person to get a hold of if they have an emergency on Saturdays.
Right. I'm probably the wrong person to get a hold of if there's an emergency pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what I'm going to do to help you.
Well, it's funny because I forget who it was. They were like, oh, I put in my out of office reply, hey, I'm out of town. If this is an emergency, call me. And then I was getting emails back where like, oh, it's an emergency, but I don't have your phone number. And they were like, if you don't have my phone number, I'm the wrong person to get a hold of for an emergency that's happening in your life.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
All right, so Screenless Saturdays, theminimalists.com/screenless. If you want to participate in that, there's 3 different ways to participate. You can get off social media. You can get off. That's the first way. So that's the easiest one, right? The next is I'm gonna get rid of all of the internet connected devices. So like the computer, the tablet, the phone. Or you can go completely screenless. No TV, no glowing screens whatsoever. And so all the details are over there on our website. And then Simple Sundays. Every Sunday, I'm not sure if you know this, but we send out an email every Sunday from our website. If you're interested in receiving emails from us, usually it's some sort of writing. Like, for example, we will just put a short essay about living simply. Simple advice for simple living. You can find that over at theminimalists.com. Just put your email address at the top. We'll also send you the show notes anytime we put out a new podcast episode. Of course, we'll never send you any promotions or spam or junk or We'll never sell your information to advertisers unless they give us $1 million.
No.
Okay. Damn. All right. If you want to comment on this episode, you can do so over at youtube.com/The Minimalist. There's also several new websites on our website.
Or is it several new websites on our essays?
Something like that. A bunch of new writings from The Minimalists over at theminimalists.com. Also on YouTube right now, you can find quickie episodes of The Minimalist Podcast. You can find living room conversations, and coming pretty soon, a house tour from The Minimalists. And Ryan, what else you got from us?
I got some voicemail comments and tips from our listeners. Check them out.
Hi, my name is Brittany. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I had a response to the excess fashionista. I also really enjoy fashion, but also like to keep a smaller closet. I use an app called Sadwell, which is currently free, and you upload your closet, and it picks outfits for you according to the weather, which is really nice. And it kind of sees what color palette you like, and also what things that you don't normally wear, so then you can kind of get rid of it. What I do with the stuff that I don't wear very often is I trade it out at some place like Crossroads Trading Company or Avalon Exchange with buy, sell, trade, so then you're not adding to the landfill with your clothes, and then you're also not buying anything new. It's something that I've been doing for a long time. It's been working pretty well. I understand you want to look cool but have a smaller closet, so two things really help me.
Hi, this is Karis from the Atlanta area. I'm calling about your episode on curation, number 146. When I was 16, I did a couple of pageants. Yeah, no judging there. One of the questions they asked for the MC to read while contestants walked across the stage was, what do you collect? Since I didn't collect anything, I said, memories. Best answer ever. And helped me win for sure. It's a great thing to collect. Doesn't take up any space. There's endless space for it. There's nothing to maintain, really. So for those looking to get rid of their current collection, try replacing it with a collection of memories.
I have a comment to follow up concerning one of the listeners had about missing pieces, having a set or a collection of something that really had great value to them at one time, but it was missing a piece or two, and they were hesitant to get rid of it. I had a conversation about this very thing, but in a different context, with a friend who is an eBay reseller. It's a part-time thing for her. She shops estate sales. And in her experience, the things that sell best are the missing pieces. And she discovered this by accident when she had, I think, a Harry Potter DVD collection that had one missing DVD. And she decided to see if anyone else was missing a DVD, maybe one that she had. And they sold quickly. So she can't sell Corningware, for example, dishes, but people will get into bidding wars trying to get the lids that they've been missing. So sometimes missing pieces are missing for you, but the remaining pieces might fill in the blanks for someone else.
All right, y'all, that's it for this episode. If you have a question for The Minimalist, give us a call, 406-219-7839. You can also email a voice memo to podcast@theminimalists.com. And if you leave here with just one message, we hope it's this. Love people and use things, because the opposite never works. Thanks for listening, y'all.
We'll see you next time.
All right, let's play them out, Ryan, with Chemicals from Gregory Alan Isakov's new album, Evening Machines. Enjoy that. Unless you're watching this on YouTube, then click somewhere. Here or here or here. I don't know. See you later.
The Minimalists.